Namaste students. In the previous class, in the nervous system, you have already learned the types of neurons and types of nerves. So these things you have already studied. Now we can study a little bit more things. That is the central part of our nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord. So we can study detail about the brain and spinal cord in today's class. Two major divisions of the nervous system. In the nervous system, we can see two major divisions. First one is central nervous system, or it is called CNS, central nervous system. It includes the brain and the spinal cord. Second one, peripheral nervous system. It is called PNS, peripheral nervous system. It includes the nerves that emerge from and enter into the brain and spinal cord. The nerve which are entered as well as which are come out from the brain and spinal cord, that all nerves comes under the peripheral nervous system. These are the two major divisions of the nervous system. So in the diagram you can see the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system is further divided. The central nervous system, it has two parts, it is called brain and spinal cord. In the brain, we can see the three major parts, that are cerebrum, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. And in the peripheral nervous system, we can see two main parts. First one is somatic nervous system. Second one is autonomic nervous system, or it is called ANS. In somatic nervous system, we can see two types of the nerves. First one is cranial nerves that are in 12 pairs and spinal nerves that are in 31 pairs. In autonomic nervous system, it includes two major divisions. One is sympathetic nervous system and another is the parasympathetic nervous system. So these are the divisions of the nervous system. In mainly two divisions we can see, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Next we can study brain. It comes under the central nervous system, brain. The brain, in human brain, it is the largest among all animals. The brain is a very delicate organ, well protected inside the brain box or cranium of the skull. The brain is protected by the cranium of the skull. The adult brain weighs about 1.35 kg and it constitutes about 2% of the total body weight. It is 80% of water and consumes more than 25% of the total oxygen taken into the body. So this is the general information about the brain. Next, covering of brain. The brain is protected by three membranous coverings together called meninges. The brain is protected by the three membranous layer. That three layers together is called meninges. That three layers are, first one is dura mater. It is the outermost tough fibrous membrane, that is a dura mater. Second, arachnoid. It is the middle delicate layer giving a web-like cushion. Third, pia mater. It is the innermost highly vascular membrane richly supplied with blood. It supplies the blood to the brain part, that is a pia mater. So these three layers together is called meninges. This meninges, it continues backwards on the spinal cord. The both brain and the spinal cord, it is covered by a meninges. The space between the covering membrane is filled with a watery fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. Between the layers of these meninges, gap is there. It is filled by a fluid that is called cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid acts like a cushion to protect the brain from shock. It protects the brain from the shock. And the same fluid also fills the central space of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord. The same fluid we can see in the spinal cord region also. That is a cerebrospinal fluid. Sometimes the inflammation of this meninges is called meningitis. The inflammation of the meninges is called meningitis. Next, parts of brain. The brain is divisible into three major parts: cerebrum, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. First part, cerebrum. It is the largest and most prominent part of the brain. Cerebrum is the largest and most prominent part of the brain. It is divided into right and left cerebral hemisphere. This cerebrum is divided into two halves called right and left cerebral hemisphere. The two cerebral hemispheres are connected by a thick band of fibers called corpus callosum. These two right and left cerebral hemisphere, it is connected by a thick band of fibers called corpus callosum. What are the function of this corpus callosum? This corpus callosum helps in the transfer of information from one hemisphere to another and vice versa. So it helps to transfer the information from right cerebral hemisphere to left cerebral hemisphere or vice versa. That is the main function of this corpus callosum. It transfers the information from one hemisphere to another hemisphere. That is one cerebral hemisphere to another cerebral hemisphere. Each hemisphere is hollow and its walls have two regions. Outer region is called cortex and inner region is called medulla. The outer layer of cerebrum is cerebral cortex and it contains cell bodies of neurons. Outer region of the cerebrum is the cerebral cortex and it contains the cell bodies of neurons. And it is greyish in color, so it is called grey matter. The outer region is called cortex. It is greyish in color, so it is called grey matter. It contains the cell bodies of neurons. It is convoluted and extensively covered with ridges and grooves. The cortex region, it has many folded like structures. These ridges of these convolutions are called gyri. So ridges of the convolution means coil-like structure. The ridges of this convolution called gyri and depressions are called sulci. So when the ridges will form and in the center we can see the hollow space, that is called depression. So that depressions is called sulci. These convolutions increase the surface area to accommodate more nerve cells. If there is a more number of ridges and grooves, it helps for the accommodation of more number of nerve cells. The number and pattern of convolutions are associated with the degree of intelligence. The intelligence is depending upon the number and patterns of the convolutions in the cerebrum region. And the next inner region of the cerebrum is called medulla. And it is white matter. It is called as white matter and it contains axons of neurons. The inner portion, it is called white matter and it has axons of neurons. Outer region is cortex. It is grey matter. It has cell bodies of neurons. Inner region is white matter. It contains axons of neurons, that is in the cerebrum. Next, functions of cerebrum. First one, because of highly developed grey matter, that is in the cortex region, it governs mental abilities like thinking, reasoning, learning, memory and intelligence. It is the site of intelligence, memory, learning, reasoning because of highly developed gray matter. Next, it also controls all voluntary functions like willpower, emotions, speech, etc. It enables us to observe things through the sense organs. It enables us to observe things through the sense organs. Center for subconscious mind are also located in the cerebrum. Here, the subconscious or unconscious mind is also located in the cerebrum. Many past experiences are covered up by more recent impressions, which dominate conscious activity. In dreams or when hypnotized and skillfully questioned, past experiences may be recalled. So what are the past experiences are there? It will stored in this cerebrum region. So these are the main functions of this cerebrum. Next part of the brain, that is the cerebellum, or it is called little brain. The cerebellum is a much smaller area of the brain located just at the base and under the large cerebrum. It has no convolutions, means it has no sulci as well as the gyri, but it has numerous furrows. This also has an outer cortex made up of grey matter and inner section consisting of white matter. In a median section appears like a branching tree. It looks like the branching of the tree. This is the cerebellum. Next, functions of cerebellum. Its main function is it maintains body balance and controls muscular activity. Its main function is it maintains body balance and controls muscular activities. The impulse for performing a muscular act originates in the cerebrum and not in the cerebellum. The impulse for performing the activity arises in the cerebrum, not in the cerebellum. For example, if you stand up and walk, the impulse for this activity arises in the cerebrum. The act of walking involves coordinated working of many muscles. Proper coordination and timing of their contraction and relaxation is the responsibility of the cerebellum. The proper coordination and timing of their contraction and relaxation is the responsibility of the cerebellum. Next, it makes the body movements smooth, steady and coordinated manner. So these are the main functions of the cerebellum. An alcoholic person when drunk generally walks clumsily, means they cannot walk properly. Why? Because the cerebellum, due to the effect of alcohol, is unable to coordinate muscular movements properly. So when we consume the alcohol, it disturbs the functioning of the cerebellum. At that time, cerebellum cannot coordinate the muscular movements. So when there is no coordination in the muscular movements, we cannot walk properly. Next part of the brain is medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata is the lowest portion of the brain located at the base of the skull. It is roughly triangular and is continued behind as the spinal cord. We can see it is the connection between the brain and spinal cord. And what are the main functions of this medulla oblongata? First one, it controls the activities of the internal organs. It controls the activities of the internal organs like respiratory movements, peristaltic movement of the alimentary canal, beating of the heart. So these are the activities is controlled by the medulla oblongata. As well as it also controls the many involuntary actions. It also controls the many involuntary actions also. As well as it contains cardiac center, respiratory center, centers for swallowing, sneezing, coughing and vomiting also. So totally medulla oblongata, it controls the involuntary actions. Involuntary actions means actions which is not control of our will. Injury of medulla oblongata generally results in death. Yes, if there is an injury in medulla oblongata, sometimes it causes the paralysis or sometimes it causes the death of that person. Because if there is injury in medulla oblongata, it affects the involuntary actions or it affects our internal organs. It may be a heart or it may be the respiratory system, it may be the digestive system. So that's why the injury of medulla oblongata generally results in death. Now you can see the structure of the brain. This is the median section of the brain. Here you can see the cerebrum, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. In the cerebrum, it is the largest part. It has 4 important lobes. Frontal lobe, it is violet in color. In the diagram you can see, because of identification they gave the different color. Parietal lobe, green color. Occipital lobe, little bit brown in color. And dark brown color is then near to the hypothalamus. That lobe is called temporal lobe. Here 4 lobes we can see. These 4 lobes, they will receive the impulses from the different sense organs. And we can see the corpus callosum in the center. It helps for the transformation of the impulses from left cerebrum hemisphere to right as well as vice versa. And we can see the thalamus region, hypothalamus. At the base of the hypothalamus we can see the pituitary gland. And in the cerebellum you can see it has a branching like appearance, branching tree like appearance. That is cerebellum. And next we can see the medulla oblongata. So these are the main parts of the brain. Next, another important part of the central nervous system, that is the spinal cord. The spinal cord extends from the medulla of the brain down almost the whole length of the backbone. It ends at the second lumbar vertebra and lies within the neural canal of the vertebrae. So it ends in the second lumbar of the vertebra and it is the extension of the medulla oblongata running along the vertebral column. The arrangement of white and grey matter is reversed from that in the brain. In the brain, grey matter is outer region, white matter is inner region. But in the spinal cord, grey matter in the inner region and white matter in the outer region. So, grey matter is the inner region. So, grey matter always contains the cell body. But in the spinal cord, grey matter is inner region. So, the cell body is inside. Cell bodies of the motor and association neurons are inside region. And the white matter is outer region. So, it contains the axons of the neurons. In exam, they will ask to write the differences between the cerebrum and spinal cord in the arrangement of the neurons. So, brain, that especially in the cerebrum, the grey matter is outer region. So, cell body is in outer region. White matter is inner region. So, axons are inner region. But in the spinal cord, grey matter is inner region. So, cell body is inner region. White matter is outer region. So, axons are outer region. So, don't confuse this arrangement. It is just a reverse arrangement of the cerebrum. Only the grey matter and white matter. The cell body always present in the grey matter. Axons are always present in the white matter. There is a small central canal in the center which runs the entire length and is continuous with the cavities of the brain. In the center we can see a hollow region that is called a central canal. This central canal is filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid acts as a shock-proof cushion and forms a medium for the exchange of food materials, waste products and respiratory gases with the neurons. So this cerebrospinal fluid is also present in the brain as well as in the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, it is filled in the central canal region. Externally, the spinal cord is covered by the same three membrane which is covered in the brain region. So that are dura mater, arachnoid and pia mater. These three layers together is called meninges. The spinal cord is also covered by a meninges layer. Next, functions of spinal cord. First one, the spinal cord conducts reflexes below the neck. The spinal cord conducts reflexes below the neck region. Next, it conducts sensory impulses from skin and muscles to the brain. It carries the sensory impulses from skin and muscles to the brain region. Next, it conducts motor responses from the brain to the muscles of the trunk and limbs. It conducts the motor responses from the brain, means whatever the response is there arises from the brain through the spinal cord. It reaches to the muscles and limbs of the muscles of the trunk and limbs region. So these are the main functions of this spinal cord. Now you can see the structure of spinal cord. Here outer region is white matter and inner region is grey matter. Outer region is white matter, inner region is grey matter. On each side of the spinal cord there are two horns, the dorsal and the ventral horn. We can see dorsal and ventral horn. A nerve joined to the dorsal horn picks up sensations from various organs. A nerve joined to the dorsal horn picks up sensations from various organs. It is called sensory nerve. Here the sensory nerve ends in the dorsal horn region. From the ventral horn or root arises the motor nerve which takes the messages from spinal cord to the organs concerned. From the ventral horn region, the motor nerve arises and takes the impulses and to convey that impulses to the particular organs. Means in the dorsal region there is a we can see the sensory neuron, and in the ventral region we can see the motor neuron, and they are ends in the horns of the respective region. That is, in the spinal cord we can see the two horns, dorsal and ventral horn. In that horn the nerve will joined, means the nerve will end in that horns region, and here in the dorsal horn picks a sensation from the various organ, that is the sensory nerve or neurons, and in the ventral horn root arises, the motor nerve takes the impulses to the particular organs. In today's class we have studied about the parts of the brain, that is the cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, and its functions are very important, and its locations also. The structure of the spinal cord, in that they will give the diagram, you have to label the parts, that is very important, as well as the functions of the spinal cord, and the arrangement of the neurons in the cerebrum as well as the spinal cord. In the cerebrum, grey matter is outer region, so cell body is outer region, white matter is inner region, so axons are inside. In the spinal cord, grey matter is inner region, so cell body is inner region, white matter is outer region, so axons are outer region. This is very important.